Okay, so this video is going to be for problem number 4, which is a clamping nut. So let's start with a new part file. Make sure we're in the right units. For this one, we're going to use yet another revolve. So we want to sketch half of the cross section. We'll revolve that. We have a fillet to add. We have a cut to make over here and then threads, chamfers here, threads. So let's get started. Let's do a new sketch, front plane. All right, so let's do that sketch. Let's pick a good starting point. Not sure, maybe at the top. So let me start with a line. This tells me that it gives me the dimension here, 22. That's good. New sketch. So this is my 22. And then I have a line going down. Do I have an angle for? So I don't have this angle. So what I could do is start at the bottom, work my way around, and then just connect these 2 points. So let's see. Let's go back to sketch. What's going to be the distance for this center line? See, it's 20. Oh, that's one thing about this problem is it doesn't give you the overall height, which it should, but it doesn't. So I know that's 46. Should have been added in there somewhere. So from the top to the bottom, overall height is 46. Then we have a horizontal line. If our diameter is 62, then this should be half that distance. So 62 divided by 2, it's like 31. So that brings us to this corner. We'll go 20 units up. There's 20 units up. And then now we just have to connect these two endpoints. So that is the basic. Um, we can also sketch in so there's always two choices when it comes to fillets or chamfers. You can sketch them in, or you can wait till after. Personally, I like to wait till after, because if you ever need to change it, it's easier to go back into the either sketch or fillet command and then just change the number. That's always easier than coming back into the sketch and manually changing the sketch. But actually for this sketch, this is entirely correct, because we do need to create a hole for the threads. So this would create a solid object with no hole. Let's make sure we do this right. So what I would do here is I would offset this line. Um, no, I just want to do the line offset. Yeah, just a line by itself. Opposite direction, right? So for making threads for an M22 by 1.5, we want to make sure that our hole is 23 and a half. So 3.5 divided by 2 is 11.75. So that's where that line needs to be. Go ahead and finish that. I would leave this one in here for reference so we can revolve. So just make that a construction line. Um, so trim this. Also too, right? We have this like it kind of looks like a chamfer, but we have a circle, right? That creates, let me zoom in, that creates this arc here. So that starts 2 units above the bottom of the part. Um, So let me offset this one as well. Do in the reverse direction 2 units. Okay, so that's where my line should be. Go ahead and let's see, trim. I won't trim just yet. Uh, the way I'll do this one is I'm gonna use this endpoint for my circle, and I want the same thing on the other side. So maybe I can mirror. Hopefully, I can mirror just a point by itself. Yep, 0.9. Copy that about the right plane in this case. So I want to do, you can do an arc or a circle. Um, it's up to you. So I want to choose those two endpoints, and then my third is going to be my uh, it's going to be my radius. Now, if I add a dimension here, hopefully it doesn't move on me. So this is a radius of 49.49. So I could do 4949 times 2. Okay, I don't think it moved anything. I can double check that by checking the dimension from, actually I could just check what's the x and y coordinates for this point. Negative, let me see, negative 11.75, negative 44 should be the same thing over here. Okay, so that those points didn't move. So this is the arc that I want to have to create to this arc here. So now I could um, trim these pieces. I could trim this piece, and also this line as well. Yeah, so this is the cross section I want to have for my revolve. So let's revolve this. Again, my axis of revolution should be the center, so it's this line actually. Okay, yep, 360 degrees. That looks fine. What else do I need? Oh, I need my fillet. So let's go to, I need a fillet of radius 8. Select the edge. Okay, there's our fillet. What else do we need? Let's look at our section view to make sure everything looks good so far. So the cross section looks good for now. See, the next thing we could do is we can make this cut in there for the thread on the side. For that, we're gonna need a plane down its middle. So for me, I'll use the right plane, or you could use the right plane as well. So I use the front plane. We need to do a sketch on the front plane. Let's do a new sketch on the front plane. Let's also make this a section view so it looks like the drawing. Right, so we're sketching on this plane. We need to sketch the same, kind of the same thing we did like with the first part is like we need to do a revolve. So let's sketch this into the side here. Um, let's see, we have, it's 10 units from the end of this radius. So can I highlight that right there? That's where I start. Um, I have a line that's going 10 units along this direction. I want to make this 10 units. So this is going to be the center for uh, my revolve, this line that I'm making right now. That one, so we're diameter 9. Let's see, I'll sketch that one. I wonder what I should do. So this is 10. Let me see. Let's get rid of this one. And let's fix this end. Let's make this, so our diameter is 9, that's half of that is 4.5. Okay. And also 4.5, that one goes 10 units deep. So let's do 10, make sure these two are perpendicular to each other. So this should be 10. Um, Again, this angle's not given to you. If you guys were just to create some sort of pointed end, that works fine. However, I'm given that information. So between this line and the center line, don't know its distance, but I do know this is at 59 degrees. So what I could do is I can add, let's add the center line. Again, I don't know its length just yet. But I just want to add this so then I can dimension these two to be 59 degrees. And then I could trim these two. Let's see, is this okay? I believe that might be it for our cut revolve. So again, the important things on this one, I want to make sure this distance is 10. Um, Not linear, but I want to make sure the distance between this endpoint and this is 10, right? So which it is. This has to be 4.5. This has to be 10. This is at 59 degrees. I think that should be all we need to cut revolve this. So let's go over to revolve cut, choose our axis of rotation, and then 260 degrees. We'll cut that out. So that looks like, uh, which is fine. Now let's do our chamfer, right? So again, it's not given to you here, but typically the start of a thread is chamfered. So let's do a chamfer. We'll do 1 again, because that's what we've been using. We'll chamfer this by 1. Cool, that's good. Oh, let's do our threads as well. So we'll go over to threads, pick our starting edge, same as always. Up to, here, can I do I wonder if I can do a section view while I make my threads. That way I can see what I'm doing. Let's give it a shot. So we'll go back to threads, pick our starting edge. We'll do up to this edge. Metric tap in this case because we're threading a hole. M10 by 1 is our thread size. Find M10 by 1. We might need some offset. Cut thread. What are we missing? Let's see, I have a starting edge. I have an up to metric tap. Right hand threads. Input data to create thread is not complete. What am I missing? Oh, would it be extrude threads? No, that doesn't change anything. Size tab. Hmm. I mean, maybe my offsets, but that wouldn't be absolutely required. And I'm not getting a preview. So that kind of makes me think something's not right. Cut threads is fine. Oh, this is M10 by 1.5, not M10 by 1. I don't think that would change. Would that change anything? No, but that's still, yeah, let's make sure this is M10 by 1. Um, it's also given to us as a depth of 10, so if you wanted to, instead of doing up to selection, you could do blind and then enter 10 millimeters. That's still, it's so strange. Maybe it's because I did a section view? Let's find out. So let's back out of this. Let's get rid of my section view. Let's try to do this all over again. I don't know, that would be strange. So this is my first edge. Again, we know how much threads we have, so you could do blind in this case, do 10. Metric tap, 10 by 1, cut thread. No, still the same problem. Um, Metric tap, 10 by 1. Let me take a look at this for a second. Okay, so after looking at this, I'm just playing with it. I did notice that if I choose this as starting location, it seems to want to work. So we'll do this backwards. We'll start at the bottom of the hole and work our way out. Again, metric tap, choose M10 by 1, cutting threads. So that might, let's see, we need a clean start here, so maybe we can offset the start. Let's see, let's offset this. It's gonna be this direction. And then we'll also offset. I wonder if this one we could do up to selection. We'll do this edge. Nope. Let's do blind. I don't know. This number, if you're doing blind, it doesn't really matter as long as you go past. Positioning at this section will produce invalid bodies. Please select a different position. Okay, let's do section view again. Oh, I see what it's. So it doesn't like this thread being offset. Does this make it okay? It does. It does work. I'm just trying to see if I can do anything about this end. Maybe offset this by a smaller amount. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Let's try 1. So that's too much. Let's try 0.75. Okay, that seems to be a sweet spot there. Then it also cuts into this. I'll just leave this at 0.5 and call it a day. I don't like that either. What if I didn't do an offset? Just has this. mm, That might be fine. But let's see. We'll do. Let me double check to make sure that's okay. Okay, so I just checked and that's fine. Um, so we can move on to the final part, which is the chamfer and the threads on this one. For this chamfer, I would make it maybe a little bit larger than the one we did previously. So I don't know, maybe something like 1.5 or let's chamfer this face. Okay. And then, okay, that's good. And then also let's finish our thread on that one. So again, pick your starting edge. Let's do up to selection. Then let's make sure we select the bottom edge. Okay. We already know we're gonna need some kind of offset. So let's offset this by maybe 2 millimeters in the opposite direction. Metric tap is good. Thread size M22 by 1.5. And then we're gonna offset towards the bottom as well. 2 millimeters. Yep. I believe everything is good. Have a nice clean start there to our thread. Let's check the top view now. Have a nice clean start there as well. Let's change this to a blue color. So let's find a blue that's, oh, this is like a different kind of blue. Mm, so can we fine tune this maybe? I don't know the color code or anything, but just trying to get it close-ish. Mm, That's close enough for me. And then just let me take a look at my section view one more time to make sure everything checks out. And it appears that it does. Okay, so we can save this as problem 4, clamping nut. Let's rebuild it just in case. And that would be that number 4.